everyone, how are you? I'm going to give you all one moment to hop on. Make sure you say hey to us in the comments. Tell us where you're tuning in from and hashtag live if you're live, hashtag replay if you're on the replay. I am so excited for today's episode. I say that about everyone, but I'm even more excited about this one. This I feel like is so important for women and single moms and for everyone in general who just deserves self-love and to get that love of their body back and to just accept and appreciate themselves for sure. I am so excited to have Trish on with us. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you. As you hop on, like I said, make sure you say hi in the comments. If you have questions throughout, type them in. I'm sure Trish has no problem answering them throughout, or maybe leave them to the end, all the good stuff. And I can't wait to introduce our guest today. Trish Causey is a self-described sacred sex shaman helping her clients awaken to pleasure, heal their shit once and for all, and call in all the juicy O's that life and their body have to offer. She blends her no-nonsense blunt approach with anatomy and physiology, hypnotherapy, quantum energy healing, past life regression, shamanic journeying, trauma therapy, tantric sensuality, and more. She offers self-study courses on her site, and her premium coaching modality is Tantric Fire Magic. I am so excited. Let's all give her a round of applause. Hi. Say hey to Trish in the comments. Hello.
Hey, girl.
I am so excited for this.
This is soul mission for me. So I'll be happy to take any question from anybody at any time. This is my purpose on earth, truly.
Perfect. I am so excited. So it's crazy to hear all these things. This is something that I've been kind of diving in since I've been focused on my own healing and my own journey since really November. Really kind of, you always have those light bulb moments of, all right, something's not right. Let's fix it. I'm not, so I had to go down that. And I've learned and have researched and seen so many cool things. What got you, what's your passion? What's your history? How did you get here? I want to know all the things about you.
Oh gosh, well, of course that could take years because it took years. My background is in the performing arts. I am a professional singer, award-winning composer, freelance journalist, and a Broadway journalist, actually. And so my whole world was always to get on Broadway. That was the goal since I was a kid, and watching movie musicals, and then I started doing musical theater. So that is the thing for me, or it was. Still was, and for me, I was actually in a relationship that I could tell was bad, and not physically abusive, but mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and bad sex. And so I knew it was not where I wanted to be. But I didn't have the girl balls to say, this isn't working for me, so I'm going to leave. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. So I kept pretending that the relationship was fine, kept having sex and all that stuff. And while I was preparing songs for audition to make my big break to New York and audition for Broadway, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And so it was like, okay. And so I knew I knew I was pregnant before I did the pregnancy test. And so I knew that, of course, I was going to keep her because I knew I loved her. And 6 months before, I had to terminate a pregnancy because it was bad. Mm-hmm. And I had told the soul of that pregnancy, come back to me, in the future when things are better. Well, she came back 6 months later. I'm like, this isn't what I meant, but okay. All right. So it's working out. We're going to do this. And so then I'm stuck, I thought, in a relationship that was bad because she deserves to know her father. And, he's not a bad person. He's just not somebody I want to be in a relationship with, blah, blah, yada, yada. So that just led to years of tension and misery and more bad sex, lots of bad sex to just keep things kind of even keel in a relationship. And I figured out early on that a blowjob once a week kept him quiet about the credit cards. Like, he didn't complain as long as his penis got serviced, you know? And so that demoralized me, because prior to all of that, I had been sexually abused as a child by a neighbor for 2 years. I was raped at 21 when I was a virgin. And so this kind of feeling of I'm not good for anything but sex. And sex is how I mitigate all my relationships with men. It was the term I would use now is demoralizing, but I just thought that was normal at the time. And so I was just miserable on all levels. And so fast forward, much pain, and trying to get out of that relationship. And we wound up getting legally married for cheaper car insurance, which is why everyone should get married, right? And and so, yeah. And so I finally was able to leave once I was financially stable. So it really drummed home how women have been, for centuries, millennia, women have not been able to have their true freedom when they are not financially self-sufficient. And the system, the patriarchal systems of religion and society, have not allowed or wanted women to be financially stable, because they knew we'd leave this shit relationship, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was able to get out on my own in 2010, because I was actually a full-time Broadway journalist at that point, which was stunning because I'm in Mississippi. So I'm covering Broadway from Mississippi. And just somewhere in there, I had gone on a trip. And on the trip, I had not taken my vibrator with me. And I was at the point where I was using one of those plug-in kind of vibrators, because, you know, when you start out at the cute little curved vibrator, the little cutesy one that takes like a couple of little A batteries, then you progress up to the ones that require the 2C, but then the D batteries, then you're like, fuck it, I can't afford more batteries. So I'm just gonna, get the plug-in thing, right? Because I already paid for my electric bill. And so I had gone on this work trip, and I was gone for nearly 4 weeks. And I didn't want to pack. I didn't want to take it for whatever reason. If I had to share a room, I wasn't sharing a room. But if for some reason I had to share a room, I didn't want somebody to see it, yada, yada. So what I found out is that when I tried to masturbate at nighttime after working 18-hour days and exhausted, just wanted to sleep, but I wanted to relax, I couldn't orgasm. In fact, I couldn't even feel my clit. From my clit's perspective, I could not feel my fingers. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on down there? And nothing helped. That whole nearly month that I was gone, I was not able to feel anything from my clit's perspective. Like, my fingers could feel my clit and my vulva, but my clit could not feel anything. And so as soon as I got home, one of the first things I did was get out the vibrator. It was like, oh my God, am I broken? And I wasn't broken. With the vibrator, I could orgasm. But a few months later, I then moved out and started trying to figure out what was going on with my body. And I had never orgasmed during sex, ever. And so sex, solo sex, masturbation was the only way I ever got pleasure. And so in 2011, I finally just said, I kept going back to the vibrator. And so I finally just threw it in the dumpster one morning, 5 a.m. on a Sunday, to make sure that, nobody was awake and all the church people weren't out yet. So I had to make sure nobody could see me throwing away my Hitachi Wand, which is a very expensive vibrator. And so the idea that I was throwing away this very expensive vibrator was just like, on the one side, like, do you remember how much you paid for this? And I just threw it in the dumpster. And that started, it took 6 months for the nerve endings in my vulva and my external clit to heal so that I could start to feel something. And this happens to a lot of women who finally get off the vibrator. And what I realized is, holy shit, what have I been doing to my body this whole time? So let me find other ways to learn how to orgasm. And so that's exactly what I did. And so using several modalities, including several tantric techniques, I started on this process in August of 2011. And a few months later, November 29th, 2011, I remember it like it was yesterday, I had the orgasm of all orgasms. And when that sucker hit, it was like I exploded into a million pieces, and I could feel each and every one of those pieces floating through space. And I was traveling, I saw planets, I was traveling through the universe. I could feel my arms outstretching and just stretching, 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 stretching. And then I could feel my fingers touching the edges of infinity. It was absolutely amazing. And I had never had anything like that. And so what I did was I was like, okay, well, I'm onto something here. And thankfully it wasn't with a vibrator. And so I just kept on this process and had lots of learning to do about my body, and lots of learning about the female prostate and the vagina, and the anterior fornix erogenous zone, the posterior fornix erogenous zone, the cervix and her role in all of this, and pleasure and uterine orgasm, cervical orgasms. And it was just amazing to me. And what I realized through that process is that over time, I would have triggers. Certain triggers would pop up. And I suddenly realized that I was actually healing my sexual trauma and the woundings that my body had experienced, that I had internalized and had totally ignored, because I had been taught as a child that I really wasn't good for anything but sex and sexuality, and that my body belonged to other people, because other people, complete strangers, would come up and just grab me. Or brush up against me on purpose, like pretend there's not enough room to pass by. So like a man would brush up against me to rub up against my ass or even my breast. Or men would even men I knew, they would come in, like we would hug, because I love to hug my friends, and they would hug, but like my arms would be up and theirs would be down here, but they would keep their arms bent rather than putting their arms around my back. They would keep their arms bent. And as they came in for the hug, they would squeeze their elbows in to squeeze my breast between their elbows. And I was just like, it's just, things started clicking into place, all of the trauma I've experienced. And then what I realized is that along the way, as that came up, boo-hoo, cry, that I was healing it through orgasm. I was healing my body, because I firmly believe, because of these experiences, that pain and trauma experienced in the body has to be healed through the body. And this is what I was doing, and I didn't realize it. And there was one day that I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, which was this big mirror, and could see everything. And I got out of the shower, and I was at my highest weight ever. Big. And I looked at my body, and for the first time, instead of judging or shaming my body for not being a size 2, which I've never been and never will be, but I looked at my body and I was like, oh my God, I love my body, because by now my body was this orgasm machine. And I was like, oh my God, all this pleasure that I get from my body gives me the most incredible experiences. And it completely transformed every negative self-talk that I've ever had about my body, which never came from me originally anyway. It was from those assholes at school when I was 8 and 9. And so that's a big part of what I had to do in my own heal. I didn't have to, but I chose to. I chose to heal all of these influences and comments and judgments and assaults by all these other people, places, situations, things, and traumas outside of me. And I was like, wow, none of this shit is mine. And when I got there, oh yeah, it was amazing. And so from there, I was blogging my sexual awakening on my blog at the time, Aroused Woman blog. And that led to men reading, because they were searching vagina and clit techniques and tantric stuff, and my site was coming up. And so they started writing me about how my work was helping them with their relationship and their sexual experiences with their girlfriends or their wives or whatever. And that led to, okay, well, send me a question. And so that led to Ask Trish posts and videos, and that became, just kind of morphed into what I'm doing now and what I call sacred sex shamanism, or what I myself as a sacred sex shaman, which a title I made up, because it just describes what I do. And so my work is to educate people on how beautiful and spiritual sex is, because a lot of spiritual people think sex is not spiritual, and it absolutely is. and then to help heal the trauma. And you can heal the trauma easily. You can heal the trauma quickly, and you don't have to stay stuck there. We live in cancel culture now. We live in victimization culture now, and you don't have to live there. It is absolutely a choice, and you could choose not to. You could choose to heal and have all the good things and all the beauty and all the pleasure and all the orgasms. And when you understand, this is one of my new things that I'm teaching everyone, or trying to, is that orgasm is the key to everything you want in life. That foundation, that philosophy, once you understand what orgasm truly is, it is the key to everything that you want in your life. And like you mentioned, my premium coaching, Tantric Fire Magic, I call it love, sex, and money alchemy, because that's what it is. Is once you understand what orgasm is, how to have it easily, spontaneously, you only want that, and you will never settle for anything less, ever. And so that was a long-winded way of answering your question.
I love it. I love it. I want to say, when you explained to me what you just explained, with the tantric fire magic, it like was so opening to me, and I'm like, it's so true. And I came from a domestic violence background, and I have been raped as well in my life, and I have had a lot of trauma with that. And to me, it all started with thinking back to early years. It started with just longing to not having a dad that was very present in my life. He was there, but he was that typical, like, I have to go make the bills, you deal with the mom, I really don't want nothing to do with you. And so I was looking for that emotional connection, and I always did it through sex. And it started at I would say a younger age. I got very kind of into looking for that at like 15, 16 years old. And, it just led down, instead of actually loving my body. And I feel like this is something that we don't think of and speak of enough. I feel like, especially in America, we have such this stigma and this bad rap that is around the, female body and around sex in general and everything. And it is so important for us to be okay with talking about it. I feel like that's where, the disconnect is with these young girls and the moms and everything like that, is because we just are afraid to talk about it. We're afraid to it's okay to talk. We have feelings. We have these, like you said, orgasms. Like our body is meant to do that. Until I got into the relationship I am in now, I never really experienced something like that. And it's just changed my life. And like you said, you'll never go back. Because I will say, I would never go back to just shutting up and trying to exist in a relationship because you want to make it work for your kids, and just not being fully satisfied emotionally or physically I just can't. And so that is why I'm so glad that you have come on, so that we can have this open dialogue and not be afraid of our human anatomy, not be afraid of what's going on inside of us, and to learn that we should love each other or love ourselves. And that helps with healing and that trauma. Like you said, it is so important, because it can just be stuck inside of you and you're like, I just want to feel better.
And it affects every aspect of your life, whether you realize it or not.
So true. So true.
Every relationship, even business relationships, how you run your business. Do you even have a business? Do you think you're worthy of having your own business? Do you think you're worthy of success? All of these issues of worth and image and self-esteem, they all come from within, and your relationship with yourself and your ability to love yourself. You cannot truly love anyone else, not even your kids, until you love yourself. And it just highlighted for me, and that wow, how I failed my own daughter, because I was working so hard. When I was a Broadway journalist at that time, I was literally working 4 different, one full-time and then 3 other part-time jobs to make money. And I made good money. It was like the first time in my life where I never had to check my balance. And when I wanted to go buy something, I knew money was there, but I was working for it. And by the time she was in her senior year, it was like my body shut down. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening to me. And I would not have called it depression. I mean, I wouldn't use that label, but I guess that's what it was. But it was just, my body was just like, I can't do this anymore. Not even the orgasms were getting me through at that point, because I was neglecting other things in my life, you know. And when you have that imbalance, it's going to catch up to you. And that's why, like you were talking about, the tantric fire magic, it's love, sex, and money alchemy. You know, it's having this balance between all of them so you can thrive in all of them. And when you just can't get out of the bed in the morning, it's really hard, you know, because I've been there.
I have too. And I just wanted to say hi really quickly to Leslie. Thank you for watching. El Jean, I will butcher names, so apologize if that's not it. Watching from the Philippines, welcome. Thank you for hopping on. If you are watching and you have any questions, you're going through something, post it in the comments below and we will definitely get Trish to answer it. If you're like, you know, I don't feel comfortable enough with that, we do have Trish's Instagram and her website up above in the description. So always make sure that you can reach out to her and we will let you know what that is at the end of this live. I mean, all the juicy O's. I mean, I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because I'm in a lot of women's entrepreneur groups, and I see a lot of women and posting like what they think is it. Well, it's their tagline, it's their brief bio, it's their brief copy. You know, when people say, "Okay, explain what you do," and I got so tired of trying to be I guess plain about it, because I'm a fiery person. I'm a blunt person. And so I said, fuck it. Can we say fuck here? I was like,
we are.
we are now. But that's what I was like, okay, fuck it. I just want to write the way I feel. And that's what I started writing. That's what I wrote. And I've been using that ever since. And I'm like, and people contact me and like, oh my God, that's so awesome. I was like, well, that's the truth. And everybody should feel that about their life and their business. All the juicy O's life and your body have to offer, because it's infinite. You don't ever have to be miserable. Once you can kind of clue into what your wounds are and what your traumas are, and that you at this point now have a choice, you get to choose the life that you want for yourself. And it can be really difficult to get out of bad situations, as we both know, but it's doable. And do something every single day that makes you happy, that makes you feel that bliss of an orgasm. Even if you can't do it, if you're not having spontaneous orgasms yet, well, you can take my courses, but you know, just be there. Just be there. What makes you happy? What drives you? What are your passions? And that will absolutely lead you down the path of all the juicy O's.
I love that. And that is so true, because when the COVID hit and I was, like you said, I was in the same thing of the state of recently had left a job for a business I was a part of, and I was lost. I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I had no idea. I'm like, I suck at everything. I can't make it. I'm no good. I'm no good at anything. And I was lost for a couple of months and I had no idea what was going on. And I felt like just my not having, income coming in and all that made me feel internally, you're not a good person because you're not up to par. And when I finally was like, I love the marketing thing. I love the online thing. I love, I had learned a lot about Facebook groups and growing groups. That's how come I got the lovely single moms group. And, that that was right around the time COVID hit. And that I agree, because I created a thing where I taught the single moms how to monetize their passions. So what is your passion? Why do you wake up every morning? What is on the inside of you that wants you, that you could just do all day, every day? And, teaching them how to do Facebook groups and monetize them and make money from them. And I loved it. I'm like, oh, this is it. So that took me down a whole nother rabbit hole of, but it just seeing, women out there that never knew that you could actually love what you do. And that is so, so important. And I love always aligning with and bringing other people who have that same outlook and who bring it from a different angle, because I definitely love everything that you talk about, because it goes hand in hand. If you're not happy, inward, if you're not happy outward with like your circumstances, that really, it hurts the O's in your life for sure.
All of them, they won't be there at all.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And what this global shutdown and global reset has been about, from a spiritual perspective, anyway, is that this is about people creating a reset of how we live our lives. That we actually are not supposed to be enslaved to any institution or any matrix of anything that does not serve our highest good. But that's what we've been taught for the past 6,000 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so this global reset is absolutely about people taking back their power and families coming back together. Okay, maybe y'all have had too much togetherness at this point. But, just think about how often did you actually see your kids? Maybe not you, but I mean, other people. Like if you work a typical job, it's not just an 8-hour job. It could be a half-hour commute going and coming, and then it's getting the kids to school and then picking them up. It's actually 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And then dinner at nighttime and homework and whatever. It's like, how much quality time were people actually spending with their kids? It's just like, it's now people can see, well, wait a minute, I can actually work from home. I can balance things. I can school from home, or even school halftime, is at school and halftime, like we can work this out and we can be happy. And we are actually not subject to all of the matrices that we have been indoctrinated into. This is a huge awakening for the entire world, for humanity, and the consciousness of humanity is raising because of it, because now we've actually had a taste of freedom. I know lockdown doesn't seem like freedom, and it's been really difficult for a lot of people, but what it has done is it's brought the systems that have kept us in lock and gear, it's brought them to a halt. And so now people are like, well, you know what? I didn't like that job anyway. What can I do from home? What can I do on my own? Whether it's network marketing or starting your own business or just, getting into crypto and the stocks and whatever. It's just like people are now finally getting out of that matrix of the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or just sacrificing everything else in your life just to have the job that allows you to pay for the apartment or the house that you're never in because you're at the job or you're commuting, and the car that just sits in a parking lot somewhere, or the driveway that you don't get to drive much except to go to the job to pay for, So yeah, so this has been awakening for so many people, and people are finding their joy again. Like, look how many people started going back to hobbies they hadn't done in 20 years, or they turned their hobby into a passion that they're now making money from. I mean, Etsy has this blossomed. I mean, it's just gone off the charts, and people doing podcasts and like, you know what? I've always wanted to do this. Now they are.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it is so important to just do those passions. And, like you said, I kind of, at the beginning, it's okay, all this world is going crazy, all of it. And before I even did the online thing, I was working 90 hours a week. I worked 3 different jobs. My kids were being raised by babysitters. They were at the grandparents' house before more than they were at my house. I seen them maybe a couple hours a day, if that. I worked 3rd shift. I bartended, and I did a call center from home. So
wow.
It was like nonstop. And, until I found that there is another way. You don't have to. At the time, it's just I was head down grinding, like I just have to provide. I have to provide. And then when I finally had that moment of clarity of, no, there is a different way, it was like a whole new world. It was like the veil was lifted, and it's like I could never go back. It's the craziest thing, because you're just happy now. I know I am.
Let me tell you something. This morning I had a collaboration call at 9:30 my time. And I know that does not sound early to a lot of people, but let me tell you something. When this whole COVID thing started, and I'm kind of trying to revamp my own business and really stepping into who I am and what I want to do, and not being scared to be seen or heard. And I mean, I'm not scared, but I admit I stayed away from social media because I didn't want my family and my friends to see what I was doing. And now I don't care. But there were a couple of things that I said from now on. I am not waking up to an alarm clock. I won't do it. I will not do it. This morning was the first time I actually set an alarm to make sure I was awake. Now I have a dog, so I have to take him out, but he's been letting me sleep in recently. And it was just like waking up and hearing that alarm. And it was just like, oh my God, do I really want to wake up? It's like, well, yes, this is a huge opportunity, visibility call. Of course I want to do this, but it was just that idea of all those years that I had to wake up to alarms. Because when my daughter started kindergarten, when she started into regular school, from preschool to regular school, the bus was at our house at 6:25 in the mornings. And again, my background's in the arts, performing arts. So there were times when I would get home from a gig at 2 or 3 in the morning, on the weekends or whatever. And so it was just like, oh my God. So being awake at 6:25 or having to be up at 5:30, I would just stay awake and I wouldn't go to sleep because I would have to get her up at 5:30. And so all of those years that I had to wake up to with an alarm clock, and then those years that I, had a real job. I've been self-employed since 2003, thank God. But it was just like this morning, waking up to an alarm and just knowing that I woke up to that alarm. I set the alarm because I wanted to make sure I was up in time for this great opportunity. Because they're in Europe, so with big time zone difference, right? And I was just like, but wow, I don't want to do this much anymore. And when you get really clear about what you want and don't want, the choices get really easy. They get really easy. When you're still scared, it's hard to make those choices because you're still in that people pleaser. I don't want people to think bad things about me, or at the other end of the spectrum, sorry, you're just a doormat for people and you have no spine at all. I love you. That's not judgment. Not you, but I mean, I just love you. Whoever's feeling that, you're still in that place. Like it's because you haven't had anybody to say, fuck, damn, you can do this. You can do this, whatever it is. You would not have incarnated in this lifetime at this time if you were not powerful as fuck and could do anything you want. You are a masterful co-creator of your reality, and you are here to create awesomeness, And some people, though, they're scared. They need help. They come to me and they know I'll kick them in the butt, and then I'll kick them out the nest, because people have so much power within them. And the true meaning of the word passion, because I'm a word nerd. So I always go to the origin of a word. And the word passion comes from the Latin word passio, which means to suffer. And so your passions are the things that if you don't have these things in your life will suffer. You will suffer. And I know what that's like. I've tried to live without music. I've tried to live without theater. I've tried to live without orgasms, and my life is not the same. So I know I have to have music. I have to have orgasms. And thankfully those come very easily right now, and it's just like, those are things I have to have. I have to have those. And my life is not even bearable without those. And when people get really freaking clear, they get that laser sharp clear about what they will and will not accept in their own life and their business or their relationships, it makes it really easy. And we don't have to even go through that process of, oh, well, I'll hurt their feelings. It's like the 8 of Cups in the Tarot. The 8 of Cups is often said to be like, it means like the abandoning a path, which I do the tarot in my own ways, because the number 8 means growth and expansion. And the cups is your emotions, your spiritual path, your psychic intuitive abilities. So the 8 of Cups for me is when you live from the heart, your emotions, your feelings and your intuition. The 8 of expansion and growth is that you will expand and grow through living through your heart. And the people who don't resonate with that, they will fall out of your life. So you don't have to worry about hurting anybody's feelings. They will just go. They'll just suddenly not be there. And I think a lot of people have experienced that in this shutdown COVID experience too. People they haven't seen or talked to in 30 years, suddenly back in their life. And the people that they used to go to work with every single day, no longer there. It's amazing. So when you get clear and you decide, yes, I'm putting me first and I'm putting love first. Wow. It gets easy.
That is so true. And I feel like a lot of it is, I just want to shout out Laura. Hey, Laura from London, UK. Thank you for tuning in. So happy to have you on. Again, like I always like to let you guys know if you have any questions, please just drop them in the comments. We love, love, love to make sure that anything that you have question wise is answered by the end of this. But yeah, I really agree with that because with the pandemic and everyone being shut off and people going away and everything like that is like you realize that a lot of people that you felt like you needed their opinions on just don't matter anymore because
Yes.
like I have learned that and it's the crazy thing because because I did the same thing. I have been recently revamping everything that I've been doing and business wise, and I just don't care like what I put out there and what people think of me. My people are going to be attracted to me. I'm not going to live my life being miserable, especially when I had the taste of happiness.
Oh,
So like
yes.
it's why
It's like when you have good European chocolate, you just can't go back to Hershey's. No, it's
yeah,
just not possible. It's just not
no,
possible. You can't do it.
you can't. And it's the same. It's like I don't care. Like they don't pay my bills. Like my wages have increased astronomically, and then working 3 jobs and I have more time. I get to see my kids. I get to put my schedule. Obviously, sometimes, you get a little crazy and things happen and you get overwhelmed and then it works its way out. But, I am in control and design of my life because I have that power. And I just always like to empower and bring as many people along on this ride as possible. And
Absolutely.
it is, oh my goodness, it's crazy. Just, I always like to tell people there is definitely a before and after in my life. Like, and I never thought that I would have this happy ever after. And I got to a point where I was afraid to even say anything of the good stuff that was happening to me. And even recently, I went on a trip to Vegas for over a weekend, and my boyfriend planned the whole thing,
Aw.
and he got the hotel, and we got the room service, and we did this and we did that, and I was afraid to even say anything to anyone because I was like, they're going to think I'm bragging. They're going to think that, I'm trying to just show off and all that. But it's like, no, I had a really crappy before and I deserve and where I'm at. I just am I never thought that this was happening to me. I feel very blessed. And I feel like any person who actually gets rid of those blocks and really sees the light and anyone can go down that path of happiness as well.
Yeah, and that's really telling about where our society is that because misery loves company, i.e. social media,
Mhm.
like you can't have this happy, beautiful, wonderful experience and share it without feeling guilty because
Yeah.
other people are not gonna they'll either say, well, I can't believe you're doing that. I can't believe you're doing that at this time. Why aren't you miserable like everybody else is miserable? It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you feel the need to explain yourself. You don't have to explain shit.
No.
Girl, go to Vegas, go wherever you want to go that makes you feel good. I went out to LA in September. I had to get my music gear from a friend. And so on the way back, I went to Sedona because I'd never been to Sedona before. And it was just this amazing trip in the middle of everybody else
Mm.
having this gloom and doom. Like social media is just so toxic at this point. I can't stand it. I just go into my group. I go into some of the select groups, but I was just like, oh my God. And I didn't want to hear people, I can't believe you're traveling. I can't believe you're staying home. It's just like
Exactly.
the fact that we feel the need to explain ourselves tells you there's more work for you to do because you should be living your life, not giving a darn what other people say or think or whatever, because that just shows that they're miserable. If they can't be happy for you and then they go and judge you, nah, whatever.
Ex- exactly. And it's like I think like it's an ever growing journey because I feel like every time I have a stopping block or something that pops up in my mind, then I get past that. And then it's like the next one creeps in, and then it's like, okay, I get past that. And then,
Always. There
you
always
know,
are. It's
there's
like,
always more.
because what happens is that the big stuff's the obvious stuff, right? And
Mhm.
so once you start working on that, it's like, okay, I'm taking off this layer, and as soon as you do that, all these other things start popping up. Poop, 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 they start popping up. And it's the stuff that's deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like, you think of it like a river, like the Mississippi, it's a big river, right? And you think, okay, but that big river, that one thing that's obvious to you, it's fed by all these tributaries that are just numbering the thousands and thousands and thousands. And to get a little woo-woo on you, this is not just stuff from this lifetime, but it's going to be stuff from past lives and even alternate lives, parallel lives right now. And so there's so much for us to heal right now. And this is why it's so important for us to be in our power, to really understand that love and joy and happiness and abundance and prosperity are your birthrights. Like every person, it is your birthright to be happy. It is your birthright to be loved. You come from love. You are love. And anything that is not love, why are you choosing that? I know we've been trained to choose the fear and the guilt and the blame and the shame and the insecurity and the jealousy, because that makes, a lot of people lots of money. I mean, if every woman loved their body completely, totally and completely, most of the cosmetic companies and clothing companies and all of these diet pill companies and whatever, they'd all be out of business if we just loved our bodies and ate real food, And so it's just like, so you're absolutely right. Once you start addressing the big stuff, there's a lot of stuff that creeps up, and then you may not know how to deal with that, because it's like, wait, this little shit, I never knew this was here.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? And it's like the straw that broke the camel's back, because you're prepared and ready for the big things to hit you. You're not always prepared when that little stuff comes up, and it's like, whoa. And that one little trigger is what can send you off the deep end, for a bit.
Yeah, that will definitely throw you off that deep end. And that's what I love about what you do. And I feel like it is so important for, anyone to, especially if you're in a bad, like, I feel like everyone has a journey. Everyone has insecurities. Everyone has things that they are not good with or comfortable with, and we're all ever changing. And I always feel like it's so important to always invest in yourself. And I feel like it's so important that no matter what, if you want to grow a business, then you need to find someone that can help you with business. If you are feeling insecure, if you're feeling like you have a lot going on that you need to deal with, and you're like, what, I have been to therapy, because I have been to therapy, and what, maybe it didn't work for you. And it didn't work for me, or they gave me pills that made me feel like a zombie. And I wasn't really even, it was either that or self-medicating. A lot of people go into like down the line of self-medicating, and I will raise my hand, open clarity, a little vulnerability. I have had that problem in my past. So
Food,
yeah.
binge eating. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Same here.
And
Food and alcohol, and you just don't want to deal with the pain, so you just have another shot, you make another drink, have another I can now keep it under control. It wasn't to a full-blown thing, but I was drinking way too much, so I had to cut back. And you have to have that guidance. You have to heal and fix what's broken out there. And a lot of people, you just can't do it alone. I mean, seriously, in all aspects, you just can't. You can hide it, and you can push it down and tell yourself that you're okay. That was one thing that when we were having our call, it's like, I'm telling myself I'm okay, but really I'm not. And so can you speak on that? Like, for the women out
girl.
there.
Can I speak on that? From having been in that hurricane. Oh yeah. It's like, because when you're in it and you're self-medicating, it's because I'll go ahead and use the hurricane metaphor, because I'm from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I know those very well. But when the hurricane comes in, like, it has this eye wall, the defined eye wall, and then it has all of these bands, and then the outer bands. And what I find is that when you start to not just you're not able to handle stuff, but you can't break down, or maybe you think you can't afford help or whatever, so you try and do the self-medicating thing. And the self-medicating isn't medicating, in that the root of medicating, means to heal. So medicine, medicating, meditation all means about healing. So we think that we're healing ourselves because for whatever reason, we're not going to get help from somewhere else. So we're in the thick of the storm. And then suddenly we come up to some horrible situation. Say that's the first eye wall. And then it's bright and sunny. And you're like, okay, I've got a handle on this. But the secret to understanding a hurricane is that first eye wall is just the front one. There's a back eye wall that's just as bad, if not worse. It's going to come up and smack you on the ass. So you have to stay inside. You can't go out and start picking up tree limbs. You picking up your life, because you think it's all bright and sunny now and the storm is over. It's not. There's going to be something else because you haven't actually dealt with this shit. You've got to deal with the shit. Heal all your shit. It's in my bio, but that eye wall is going to come in. Then there's more storm to go through. And where a lot of people think that the self-medicating helps them, whether it's food, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, any kind of addictive behavior that you're using as a coping mechanism is not actually helping you. And it's certainly not actually healing you. And so when you get to that bright sunny part, and then suddenly that back side of the eye wall comes in, and then that's when most people have their true awakening. And that's when but you have to go through the rest of the storm. And that's where the healing is, because the only way out is through. And so what a coach does, like what I do for my people, let's say you've healed a lot of your stuff, but you're still in your own storm of things, right? You're still in your own healing. You're still in your own triggers and your own woundings, especially child woundings and all of these things about self-image and self-esteem. What a coach does is, a coach is like the Air Force pilots that fly above the hurricane, and they can see the storm. They can see how big it is. They can see how fast it is. They can gauge it. They can kind of get an idea about where it's going to go. And that's what a coach does. That's what the word guru has been taken so out of proportion. Do people say, well, I don't need a guru and you don't need a guru? The word guru, which is a Sanskrit word, it's a compound word. Gu means darkness and ru means light. So a guru is someone who brings light to your darkness. And your darkness, that's your shadows. And your shadow work is where you do your healing. See, I'm not a light worker per se. I'm a shadow healer. I get in there and I help you deal with that. That's where the pain is. That's where the healing needs to happen. Because as long as you're, trying to be Pollyanna Sunshine, you're not going to really heal. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm. You could say, well, I did something. I put a Band-Aid on it. You're still broken inside. And so a lot of mixed metaphors here. But what the coach does, it has this outer perspective of being able to see the whole thing when maybe you can't. And you're so close to the situation, and your woundings hurt. Your woundings still hurt physically. Like, it doesn't take much for you to be right back there when you were 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, and in that house, and, being, whatever the situation was, or raped or whatever. For me, it was 21 and in my own home, as someone I knew. And so it doesn't take much to take you back there, but it really helps when you have a coach that can help give you the tools so you can bring yourself up and out, so you can see the big picture. And that you don't feel so powerless once your memories are triggered and you're back there in that situation.
Yeah, that's so powerful, because that's what I am. I coach, but I'm a different type of coach. I just teach network marketers how to really put themselves online and create money and income with it. But it's the same thing as in, you don't know what you don't know. I always tell people, you're going to someone who has done it, who has been through it, has done all the bad and has learned all the good, and can help you, give you step by step. So instead of taking 100 years, you're going to shorten that curve, and you're going to heal within your lifetime, and you're going to do something within your lifetime. And I feel like, it's so important, and it's so important, especially when you're in that healing process, because in that case, you are just so stuck in this, how I felt personally. I don't know for all you ladies out there. Let us know how you're feeling, and like if there's anything going on, and if this resonates with you in the comments. But when I was going through it, I felt like I was alone. I felt like I was just in my own head. I was there was just no good. It was, this is always going to be my life. It's, I couldn't see outside, like going back to your analogy, outside the hurricane. It was just all still, but where you said you're above it and you can see that bigger picture, and to have that, to know, hey, you're not crazy. Hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this, and to not feel so alone in the world. It is worth, to me personally, is priceless, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way to heal, to get that, in anything. So I think that what you do is huge and so important.
Oh,
And
thank you. And
yeah.
what I try to do though is that when a lot of people go to therapists, traditional therapists,
Mhm.
which I don't like traditional therapy because I think it's just more of exposure therapy. It's like, well, let's talk about it over and over and over again, so you get numb to it, so you don't
Mhm.
have the big breakdown every time you have the trigger or whatever. And I don't agree with that. And that's not true healing. That's just getting numb to it, but that doesn't heal the stuff that's still within you that needs to be healed. Especially if of child trauma. And but what I try to do is that rather than just healing the trauma side of things, I want to infuse right on the back of that pleasure. Let's get the pleasure in there, because you were robbed of a beautiful relationship with your body. You were robbed of a beautiful relationship with sex and what sex is supposed to be, sacred sex. You were robbed of pleasure and beauty and wonder. And so let's heal the stuff. Yes, absolutely, because you deserve to be happy and you deserve to not go through life feeling wounded and scared and unworthy. But on the heels of that, pleasure, healing pleasure. And then what I find is that people heal more quickly because they're not just healing the stuff and then, well, what else is there now? It's like, oh, well, I got you right here, pleasure. And it's just that understanding that in taking back your body and healing your body and healing your psyche and healing your heart, that it's not just about getting rid of the wounding. It's bringing in the love and bringing in the pleasure, bringing in the happiness, bringing in the joy, bringing in the wonder and the surprise and the adventure and the passion of all of that. And all of that is available to you as you're doing your healing, once you do your healing, but you got to do your healing.
You have to do your healing. That is so true. Because if I can tell you, if this was like a 5-hour long thing, then, we could just let all the dirt out. But,
Woo!
it's
Another
like,
show.
that would be a whole nother topic. But, it's just know, like, this is why I created this series. This is why I brought in other experts that can come in and help, because I feel like it is so important. And this is all things that I personally do for myself. And I feel like, you know what, a lot of people out in the world don't know that, all these people exist, and, that this actually is a thing. So I always love to enlighten and, teach that you don't have to be stuck there. That's why it's like stuck in mamahood. You don't have to be, love that body, heal those wounds, and you can have such a better and happier life on the other end of it. You don't have to be stuck in that misery, for sure.
That is the dang truth right there. And the thing is, though, is that that's exactly what women have been taught for several
Mhm.
thousand years. As we've gone from goddess-based cultures to patriarchal cultures, patriarchy has hurt men as well as women. So, guys, if you happen to see this, men, please know I love you. And most of my clients are men, actually. And so it's just about women as a whole, as an individual and as a collective. We are not designed to be miserable. We are designed to be loving and nurturing and kick-ass. And and that we are actually more innately designed to manifest beauty and abundance and prosperity than men are. Actually, that's something else I teach. Well, that's some courses that I have going on right now, but feminine power is where it's at. And so wherever you're still reading into and subscribing to a story that says you're less than, or that you have to suffer or sacrifice. Those are templates of the matrices and that are falling down right now. No, you don't have to suffer and sacrifice for anything. And it's going back to passion, to suffer. It's that you will suffer if you don't have all the good, beautiful, wonderful things in your life. Like I've made a decision that I want to have luxury retreats, and I'm gonna charge out the snout because they're gonna be so freaking fabulous. I'm gonna bring so much transformation for people that a one-day retreat, a weekend retreat, like Sedona or Hawaii or something like that. And that's what I want to do. And because we deserve beauty and we deserve pleasure, and healing does not always have to suck. You can say, okay, you know what? I own my shit and I'm ready to let it go. And those are the people that usually find me, is the people who are like, okay, I'm ready to let it go. And then on the heels of that, of course, is the love, the sex, the money alchemy of bringing in the pleasure and the prosperity and the abundance, because abundance means overflowing. Abundance doesn't mean money. And so if you're afraid to say money, this is a little tip. If you're afraid to say, I want money or I love money, then you still have issues with money. But if you say prosperity, that doesn't mean money. Abundance actually does not mean money. And so it's about getting really, really freaking clear about what you want, because you don't have to be miserable and you don't have to be poor. You can have all the things, all the juicy O's.
I swear you can have all the juicy O's. Oh my goodness, if I love it, because it's this. I agree with that, what you just said on abundance and being able to talk about money issues and all that. I had that, and that was one of those things that I had to heal for myself. You really can block your own blessings. You truly can. And it was like when I went down this whole rabbit hole of learning and manifestation and bringing the money, and having to really think back and know I am blocking the money to coming from me because of how I actually relate and see money. So I think that is so important. And a lot of people don't realize and know how to get over that. So to have someone, walk you through that step by step is such a blessing and so huge for sure.
Yeah, and it's about stretching yourself. It's about trying new things and stepping out of the boxes other people, other systems and matrices said you needed to stay in. I'm so annoyed with the phrase, out of the box, or think outside the box. But if that works, then do it, because get outside of the box that you have been placed in. Because, as soon as you're born, someone else gives you a name. Someone else gives you an identity. You're raised in a household and you're told how you should think politically, religiously, spiritually. You're told what you should think about so many things. You have a social security number in this country, so you are put into all of these boxes. Where do you live? Is it, on this side of the tracks, that side of the tracks? What kind of car do your parents drive? What kind of car do you drive? And so then you go into the world and you feel like you have to make a certain amount of money you have a certain title to, drive a certain kind of car, live in a certain kind of house. And none of that stuff matters, because there are a lot of people who have all that stuff and they're so miserable. They're so unhappy. And my dream house is a little witchy cottage deep in the woods, far away from everybody. And then I can fly to New York and be on Broadway, for a month or two if I want to, but I get to decide that. And, I've made the decision to be happy and just run my business however the heck I want to run my business, and to not give in to all of the misery loves company of social media, and it all goes hand in hand.
It does. I always use my social media to provide the happiness, the positivity, and to spread that. And then I get off. I'm on there for 15 minutes and I'm off, and I can't look at it. I can't do it. I come into the group, I'll go live, and then I don't scroll my newsfeed because I just can't do it.
That's toxic, man. That is just toxic. Yeah.
You see everyone complaining about their medical problems, or I can't do that, or I have this, or
politics. Oh my God.
Politics. Oh my goodness. I'm just thankful that the debate is over, or the, vote is over, because I didn't want to go on Facebook for a very long time on that part. So I know we are wrapping up to the end. For any of the lovely moms out there, if they are going through this, what would you say to them to, to inspire the healing, to, what would it look like if they came to you and, take them on that little bit of a journey if you want to?
Well, when you first work with me, we're going to talk about what you want to heal, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be other stuff. And I am going to hold you to that. That's my job. My job is actually not to hold your hand, but I will hold space for you. And as you go through your transformation from, caterpillar to butterfly, a lot of people don't understand there's a mid stage where in the cocoon, the caterpillar actually becomes totally liquid. So you're not the caterpillar anymore, but you're not the butterfly yet. And there's a lot of work to do as when you're just completely taken apart. That's my job, is to help you fall apart in a way that is conducive to your healing, so that you can take the pieces and put yourself back together the way you want to be, rather than trying to maintain this front of what other people wanted, or the coping mechanisms that stemmed from your survival mode from trauma. Okay. And so I'm there to help you through it, to do the healing through shamanic journeying, past life regression, because a lot of the issues that people have in this lifetime, chronic addictions, long-term autoimmune issues, and that kind of stuff, are actually past life stuff. And so we can get in there and we can find out what lifetime had trauma and why did the karma come back into this lifetime, because karma is neutral. And so karma just means action. And so, but it's manifesting in this lifetime because it needs to be healed, because it still exists. Because from the quantum, here we go, woo woo, from the quantum, there is no time. Time only exists here in the physical realm. And so from the quantum perspective, all time is now. So any wound that happened in a lifetime 5,000 years ago, that lifetime is actually still happening, which means that pain and trauma is still happening right now. But if we can heal it here, then we actually heal it through that timeline. We can update your Akashic records, and we can actually do amazing work in the quantum. I also do Karanaki, Reiki, which is a powerful energy healing. And then just good old fashioned, I'm just going to hold you to it and make sure you do your healing. I do not let my clients slide. And that's why they love me. I tell you, okay, I mean, just know that up front. I mean, but it's because I know what's on the other side. And there isn't anything I'm going to ask you to do that I haven't done. And there almost isn't anything that I haven't experienced, in the sexual trauma, that kind of thing, physical trauma, emotional, psychological trauma, some kind of addiction of some kind. So understand that I am with you and I know what you're going through. And because I am thankfully on the other side of it, I know what's on the other side of it. And so I'm just going to be there to kind of pull you and push you and kick you out of the nest when need be. And when you come into my vortex, you will not be the same when I spit you out.
That I love that. That is so. Why would you want to not be a different person? Like, I don't want to be this, So, because
a lot of people do, though. That's what's so
Really?
shocking, is that people want to do their healing, but they want to be the same because they actually don't want to hurt or wound other people around them, especially if they still know their abuser. It's like they want to do their healing, but they still see that person at family gatherings, or they still see that person at work. That's a whole other topic. But but be brave. And I know that can be scary, but if you are bravery is not some big, strong muscle kind of thing as what we see in the movies and whatever. Bravery, I swear, bravery is getting out of the bed some days. That is true bravery sometimes, to face the world. But when you realize that you are the creator of your reality, you create your world, you're like, wow, that gives me the leg up to survive today,
Yeah, that is so important. And it's so important to have someone, especially like you said, you're that tough person, because you need that. I feel like a lot of people, they want that handheld, they want that coddling, and that doesn't do anything to get you to where you want to be. You have to have the tough love, the one, that mama bear that's going to be like, nah, we need to fix this. There is stuff going on.
And I have clients like that. They work with me for a few months and they have amazing transformation, and they have more money, their relationships are better. And then they don't work with me because I'm a little more expensive. But then they go back to someone that's maybe their old therapist, They come back to me 6 months later. They're like, oh my God, I've lost everything, and I'm like, well, told you, that traditional therapy, number one, is not going to suit you. And number two, what we do, the way I do things is going to be completely different because I'm helping you on so many more levels than just the surface and what you see here. But I'm also blunt and mean, and I'm going to hold you to it because I want the transformation for you, but I can't want it more than you do, And so it's really interesting when clients go for 6 months, but they come back, they're like, please help me.
I believe it. I believe it because we are working with a personal trainer right now because I was having that hard time of like, I want to be healthier. I want to get up. I want to, have a workout but I just wouldn't do it. Like I just refused to do it. I didn't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And then now we hired a personal trainer and it's like, now it's just accountability. We started back in November and now it's just a part of our routine. And the energy levels that I feel and, the health, just internally, I guess not internally, but physically, I feel a lot better. And I wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't had someone hold me down and be like, no, we're on the FaceTime. You are not going to stop. You have to push through it and get through it. And then when you're on the other side of that, it feels so much better. So it's the same thing.
You're
for sure.
so right about the accountability, but it's also to know that there is someone who understands what you're trying to go for. Because the people around you in your circle, your friend list, and what they may not understand what you want to accomplish in this. This is why I've learned when I have a new idea about something, I don't tell anybody. I can maybe tell one person, but it's just like, because anybody else is going to say, oh my God, that's crazy. That'll never work.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody's going to buy that because I'm starting, it starts next Tuesday, but I have a new course. It's a private Facebook group training and it's called Unfuck Your Life. And we're redefining love, sex, passion, and power. And it's just like, if I had told anybody like that, you can't say that on Facebook. You can't say that. You can't say unfuck. Watch me. So when you have that coach or you have that guru, someone who's going to help you see the light in your own darkness, is that you have someone who's probably already been where you are. That's how they can navigate that with you and help you navigate it for yourself. And so, sometimes it is leaving breadcrumbs for you to follow. Or sorry, if you're low carb, maybe not breadcrumbs, but it's but what that coach is, and you're so right, is that it's a person who's already been there. And they've been there, done that, and they have the wisdom of things that maybe you don't yet, but you will as you work with them. Oh yeah, that's what I do is teaching. I don't just like, okay, let's talk about that. I teach. I talk a lot. Had you noticed? And so I do a lot of teaching because it's not just enough for you to come, spend your money and your time with me. It's that I want you to have the skills so that in between you're learning and doing and growing. And every time you come to a session with me, you're at a new level. Now, eventually you are going to have that level where you go, and everything just kind of seems to explode. And you're like, oh my God, I'm back at square one. That's actually a good thing. That's actually a great sign of transformation because now you're not playing by anybody's rules. And that's where true transformation for where you really want to be can happen because now you can skyrocket there.
That is so true. And it's crazy that you said that. That is kind of what I have done that was my last year was, I had went vroom, I was at a really high and then it was vroom, a really low. And now it's like that transformation of, I really don't care. Like nothing's going to stop me. No one's going to stop me. And how you said, having that person that understands that's not going to tell you it's crazy. Thankfully, I have my boyfriend. We're like, let's do this. Oh my goodness, that's a great idea. And let's go and let's do it. And what do we have to do to get there? And, I just feel like you have to have that person that if you want something, they're like, yeah, let's go and let's do it. And you can get there in that encourager. So if someone wanted to, reach out to you, look you up, get in contact with you, all the good things, where can they find you? What's the, final thoughts for what you want to say to these lovely ladies? And
Well,
men.
first of all, yeah, y'all, thank you for listening to me and my droning on and on and on. I love orgasm and I love pleasure, and I'm a Libra, so I love those things immensely. And I've lived most of my life without those things. And so being on this side of it, I know just how wonderful it is. It's so much nicer to be on this side of all of that and to be on this side of my healing. Not to say I don't have healing left to do, but man, when stuff comes up, it's just like, oh, okay, there's that, boom, and it's gone. It doesn't take days, weeks, months, years to heal stuff anymore. So thank y'all for listening. But you can find me on my website, trishcausey.com. It's my name, trishcausey.com. And yeah, you can message me. You can check out my work with me page. I have a page for my AWESOM program. AWESOM is my orgasm training program. It's Awakening Energy and Sound Orgasm Meditation. That's at the top of my website. And then Tantric Fire Magic, which is my premium coaching modality. And I love it. The people that I've had go through my Tantric Fire Magic, they have had exponential healing and transformation because, again, we get in there and we get it done. We get it done, you know. But you know, just to understand that you're worth it, Money is just energy, and you are worth investing in yourself, you know, because when you invest in yourself and then you command the universe to return that to you at least 1,000-fold, wow, great things happen, you know. So yeah, so trishcausey.com. And if you have any questions, you can just click on contact at the top of my website, and you can just email me a question and see if working with me is something you really want to do. Yes, it is.
Yes, you do. I can't wait. I cannot wait to, we have been eyeing the Tantric Fire Magic, and I cannot wait to dive into it. It's going to, yeah. So if you want to reach out, if you also want to drop a comment below, I always come back and relook through them. If you have any questions, if you can message the page or if you're in the group, and I will make sure to get you, if you're inside of the group, Trish is also inside of the group. So, that's an easy way to find her as well. I will make sure that you guys get connected because this is so important, and healing and loving your body and being comfortable with, orgasms and sex and, healing from that trauma and knowing that you don't have to sit in silence and be miserable is, to me, is like the number one, the top of the party list for you. You have to heal from that. And no mom left behind for sure. Well, that could be a slogan.
That is it. That is it right there. No mom left behind. And yeah, that's a whole other show. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Trish, for coming on. We so
absolutely. Thank y'all so much. This has been so fun.
This has been so fun. You're welcome back anytime. Can't wait. And until Monday will be an amazing talk with Andy. She has hypothyroidism, and she's been through the doctors, and nothing would help her just not be miserable, just feeling sluggish and bloated and all that good stuff. She has found, what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, help you with the healing of that through your diet and your nutrition. So if that's something that has affected you and you want to tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I can't wait to see you there. Until then, you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys later. Bye.